Hello. The Bible readings today that we're looking at are set for the 21st of June on Sunday. And I've actually put four readings down, which are the four lectionary readings. First from Genesis, the second from Psalms, Psalm 86, then from Romans, and then from Matthew. These readings are interesting. They kind of split in a way into two parts. There seem to be these ones where we're listening to the cry of people, the cry of Hagar, the cry of her son, and in the psalm, the cry of the psalmist crying to God and asking for some kind of response. The other kind of aspect of these readings are about really suffering for the sake of our faith. It's an interesting one because I'm not sure that Hagar would put it like that. She goes out because Abraham forces her out. He forces her out of his home, forces her out with her son, his son as well, and forces her out with just a little bit of water and a bit of bread. And really, that's very harsh, it seems to me. Jesus also sends his disciples out, as he says, sheep among wolves, but they certainly have had a choice in that, as have the readers of Romans chapter 6. And the psalmist perhaps combines a bit these two. The psalmist, is a person of faith, but also a person who's suffering, and not necessarily suffering, but maybe because of the faith that they hold, but just really crying out to God and asking God for help and support. So you have this sort of tension between crying out to God and making a commitment and saying, yes, God, I'll do this, and if I don't do this, woe betide me. The reading in Romans talks a lot about sin and death, and really being willing to die to oneself, die to sin, in order to receive the new life of Christ. Saying even that we carry our cross, or we suffer Christ's crucifixion, carry our cross in Matthew, in order to find a way to express a faith in the God who redeems us, in order to share in the grace of God, the love of God, the forgiveness of God. So for us, what does all this mean? How does this all tie together? Well, I think for each of us there is this sense sometimes of crying out and just saying, God, help me, God, support me, God, I don't know what to do, I need you now. And sometimes that comes in a place of real despair, as it did for Hagar. She'd put her son under a bush. She'd gone further away from him. She'd gone a bow shot away from him. Probably she couldn't hear his crying there. And she herself started crying and crying to God. And yet God did answer her. God did come close and showed her where water was, water to drink, the water that gave her and her son life. Jesus too is the source of life for us. It's that water that cleanses and heals us. This is what is written about in the book of Romans. This is what Jesus is talking about in Matthew's Gospel. That actually there is a life beyond our life, if you want. Hagar is thrown out, but she is not abandoned by God, and the disciples are encouraged to go out by Jesus, but not to be abandoned. Never, ever are we asked to go out and be abandoned by God. Jesus himself felt that sense of abandonment and took it upon himself in order that we might drink of that living water that gives us life and hope and joy. Hope you have a good week. God bless you. Bye-bye.